Unbeknownst to anyone on Earth, out in space, far, far away from the blue planet, the wider universe is in disarray. For the longest time, everyone lived in fear of Lord Boros, the Dominator of the universe, who brought chaos and death wherever he went. He had no equal. Surprisingly, the space pirate going around blowing up planets actually had one positive side effect. Since no civilization wanted that monster to arrive at their doorstep, no one dared make any moves for fear of getting his attention. Not a single soul in the universe dared to stand out too much from the rest in fear of piquing the Dominator's interest. That meant no large-scale military actions, no invasions of other worlds, no strong warriors asserting dominance by killing others on a mass scale. This led to a period of relative peace in the universe. It was far from perfect as it was built on fear, but it was as close as the universe has ever gotten to peace. All that ended with Boros' disappearance. For some scarcely known reason, he set off on a journey and never returned. Nobody knows where or why, but the seemingly invincible presence just vanished. Some said he finally met his match and died in battle. Most believed he was still out there somewhere. Either way, an age of confusion and uncertainty began. Some were eager to take advantage of this chaos, to start wars, conquer worlds, or become the strongest, whatever their motivation may be. There was now a power vacuum in the universe, and many, whether they be individuals or entire civilizations, wanted to fill it and claim the Dominator of the Universe title for themselves. And then there were many who sought to prevent such a thing, those who desired a continued peace. However, war was inevitable. War between rivaling worlds, war between peacekeepers and warbringers. That's how it started. The universe is now at war. Thousands of different civilizations duking it out for their right to exist or to take the top spot in the universal pecking order. Some worlds have been completely wiped out. Some have been conquered, and some have been saved. The conflict has lasted for several years now, but through it all, one name sticks out above the rest. A figure that rose to power at an astonishing pace, nearly filling the vacuum left behind after Boros' disappearance. On one of the largest planets near the center of the universe, a massive battle is brewing. Countless ships, some bigger than entire cities, fly through space and rain hellfire down upon the surface below. Countless smaller craft zip through the battlefield, firing laser beams and missiles at the inhabitants who do their best to defend themselves. However, the planet is outmatched. The defenders' weapons are no match for the invaders' technology. Still, the battle is far from lost. On the commanding ship, the leader of the invading forces urges his men to hurry. They have to finish the invasion right now, before one warrior arrives at the battlefield. Just then, one of his generals approaches.
Sir, our troops have secured the capital. We'll have complete control of the planet soon.
Good. Any changes to how long we have until the king is projected to arrive here?
Our intel still puts his ship at about an hour away from us, sir.
Good. Then we'll be done with this conquest before he gets here. We can grab what we want and leave.
Just then, a messenger flies in on a speeder. The man screams out to the leader, clearly frightened by something.
What is it? Speak up!
Look above! There! The messenger points to the peak of the highest tower of the planet, reaching a height of nearly 150 kilometers. The leader of the invading forces looks up to where the messenger is pointing, and his eyes widen. Up there, on the highest peak, a figure stands tall with his arms crossed. On his waist flutters a majestic red garment. His golden armor shines in the light of the planet's moon. Spiky purple hair flutters in the harsh winds of the upper atmosphere.
It's him! No, this isn't good!
The leader of the invading forces murmurs before turning back to the messenger.
Abandon the plan and retreat immediately!
The messenger stares wide-eyed.
Tell the men on the ground! Retreat immediately!
Are you sure?
Do you want to die? Go! Now!
The leader shouts, and the messenger quickly scrambles back to his speeder and flies away, to deliver the message to the men below. At the same time, the leader turns over to a communications module and translates a message to all of his ships.
All ships! This is Commander Orgus speaking. Retreat immediately! The king has arrived earlier than expected. I repeat, retreat immediately!
With that, the entire army, comprised of hundreds of ships and hundreds of thousands of soldiers, starts turning around, cowering in fear.
Sir, please look at this!
A general points his finger at the tower peak where the figure is standing. The leader squints a little, trying to see all the details. He's soon able to make out that the figure has raised a sword to its chest. The weapon appears to be glowing. The commander's eyes go wide.
Thrusters full force! Now! Hurry!
The leader shouts desperately, and his entire fleet of ships goes into overdrive, shooting away from the planet at incredibly high speeds. As they do so, the figure vanishes. In that same instant, all the thrusters of every single invading spacecraft are torn to shreds. All the ships freeze in place, unable to move. After recovering from the massive blow to his ship, the leader of the invaders looks around the control room in a panic.
Damage report! What's the damage?
All thrusters down! We're stuck!
Damn it all! All cannons! Fire at the...
The leader suddenly stops mid-sentence when a figure appears in the room right in front of him. Towering over the man, a warrior wearing golden armor and flowing red garments on his waist stares down at the invader. His single eye glaring at him with such intensity that the mighty commander of one of the largest armies in the universe collapses to his knees.
Your Majesty, Lord Boros.
The commander whimpers as he lowers himself to the ground so much that his lips kiss the floor. He trembles and sweats profusely.
I was just...
It's too late to kneel now. I've already warned you what would happen if you took any more innocent lives.
The figure says, looking down on the scum before him with disdain. Boros reaches for the hilt of the sword on his back and unsheathes the weapon. The crystal blade reflects the lights in the room, illuminating the fear-ridden face of the invader's leader.
No, please, you have to understand. My people were...
Don't bother lying. I've been keeping tabs on you, greedy bastards. Don't act like you weren't doing this for yourself.
But...
Boros doesn't wait to listen to another excuse. His sword flashes, and the tip of the blade appears a mere inch away from the commander's face.
1 slash per life lost. That's what I told you. Judging from the average population of this planet and the number of life signatures I can sense now, I'd estimate that you have killed at least over 300,000 innocent people in your assault. So, you should expect at least 300,000 cuts. Thankfully, you have around 50,000 men on these ships of yours. Some down on the ground too. They can take some of the burden off your shoulders.
Boros states before quickly swinging his sword. In an instant, every single one of the 50,000 men aboard the invading ship starts screaming in pain. The commander's eyes widen in horror. He looks around and sees all of his top generals in the control room, having received 5 deep slashes across their bodies, aimed not at vital areas, but tendons and nerve clusters, crippling them and making it hurt like hell. Boros looks over everyone in the room.
Let that serve as a warning. I won't be taking your lives, but you will not be leaving this place unscathed. Not after all the pain and suffering you've inflicted on these people.
The king says before turning to the commander once again.
Your men took the first 250,000 slashes for you. Now for the remaining 50,000.
Boros trails off before the blade of his sword flashes yet again, faster than the eye can see, and the commander screams. In an instant, tens of thousands of gashes appear all over his body, tearing his skin, muscles, and bones apart. A second after the first swing of Harus's blade, the commander's body hits the floor, completely shredded. And yet, there's not a single fatal wound. The leader of the invaders is left to slowly bleed out, suffering until the very end. Harus looks at the man's remains with disdain before turning to the generals.
This is the final warning for you as well. Your kind has been causing trouble recently. If you value your lives, the lives of your families, and the future of your entire civilization, I suggest you leave the warmongering business for good. If I find that you are invading another planet again, I will show no mercy.
The king states before sheathing his blade. A moment later, he vanishes and appears on the surface of the planet below to address the crowds of civilians and army men.
You can rest easy now. The invasion is over. Ships with my men will arrive here shortly to help you repair the damage done, as well as take care of the invaders' crafts.
Thank you, sir. You truly are as much of a hero as they claim. One of the soldiers says before falling to his knees, bowing down to their savior. All the other soldiers, civilians, and even some of the surviving invaders on the ground follow suit. The king looks at them and smiles.
Please, there's no need for that. I'm just doing what I have to,
He says before turning around. He calls for a pickup ship, and minutes later, it arrives. Harus hops onto it and takes a seat on a comfortable couch. The driver turns to him with a smirk on his face. Good work out there, my liege. Another world has been saved thanks to your efforts, he says as he lifts the spacecraft off of the planet's surface.
There's nothing to celebrate. Hundreds of thousands died today, because I was too slow to arrive.
Harus sighs as he leans back.
I wish these wars could just be over and done with already.
I understand your concern, but sire, please don't thread things that much. You've already saved countless lives over the centuries, and especially over these last few years. Don't you think you're being too hard on yourself?
300 years. All that time, and yet... Enough of that. Any updates on the search?
Which one?
Both. But please start with Boros.
Well, my liege, the tracker ships haven't reported anything new since you asked the last time. 3 hours ago. The driver glances at the king meaningfully.
Sorry to keep annoying you.
I'm aware. You want to find him as soon as possible. I get it. You know I'll inform you of any new developments the moment I hear of them, right?
I know. Thank you, friend.
That aside, we've been searching for years and there's still no sign of Boros. It would have been nice of him to leave us some clues or something that could tell us where he was going. I get that he didn't want people trying to interfere with that great prophecy of his or whatever, but did none of his soldiers accidentally let anything slip while drunk or something? We've investigated plenty of cases where people claim to have heard where Boros was going from some of his men in some random tavern, but every single time we turn up empty.
It's pretty simple. That maniac probably threatened his crew to never say a word about where they were going. The prospect of experiencing the wrath of their leader was probably stronger than any effect booze could have on their minds.
I suppose that does make sense. But anyway, you asked about the other search as well. That's going a bit better. We caught on to one lead recently. I was told it will be presented to you when we get back to the mothership.
That's good. It's something at least.
Hopefully it's not yet another dead end. Back on Earth, Boros, Zombie Man, and Dr. Gina sit at a table, all three eating takoyaki. This actually isn't half bad. Boros says. Indeed, though the flavor could use a bit more oomph, Zombie-Man agrees. We're still working out the kinks in the recipe. But that aside, what brings the two of you here today? I know you're not just here to eat. Genius asks and Zombie-Man speaks up first. We both have our reasons, but mine is simpler, so I'll start us off. Why did the House of Evolution disappear? Even if you've been beaten, as long as you live, you can re-establish it. So why don't you? Dr. Genius ponders over what to say for a moment before responding. It's because we encountered strength that far surpassed anything that I could ever create. I realized that my research would never be a match for that kind of power. There was no point in continuing my experiments any longer. What do you mean? The man who beat us had removed his limiter. Limiter? Yes. No matter how much an organism strives, there are limits to its growth. Too much power can cause various complications, so God has placed a limiter to keep us in check. But that man pushed himself beyond his boundaries and succeeded in removing his limiter, allowing him to essentially become a god. He is a monster who has no weaknesses. And upon realizing that, I couldn't continue my research in good faith. I had failed. All my life I'd been striving toward the peak of evolution, only for that man to surpass it in only a few years. So is it any wonder that I stopped? Do you understand the pain of having my research thwarted by some nobody? But never mind that. You know the reason now. Does this answer satisfy you? Hearing this, Boros makes a note in his mind. He's been fighting for a long time, and he's seen people reach their limit time and time again. The alien has been aware of such a concept for a long while. He even explained it to Phoenix Man during their battle. But now Boros knows what to properly call this phenomenon. The Limiter. It's an interesting and fitting name. As Boros ponders to himself, Zombie-Man continues the conversation. So you gave up because you believed nothing you could ever create could beat him. To be honest, I'm kind of disappointed that my creator has become such a coward. You wouldn't understand. However, I can at least take solace in the fact that that power did not come without cost. That man now suffers immense isolation. He's slowly losing his humanity. That's what happens when one gains too much power. That's the price you have to pay. Gina says, and Boros looks up at the ceiling, thinking of his own past. Those words hit close to home. The alien soon pushes those thoughts aside and smiles. I have a feeling that the man's name is Saitama, a bald hero with a yellow outfit, correct? Precisely. I assume you've met him then. I have indeed. I believe I haven't properly introduced myself to you yet. I am Boros, now former Dominator of the universe. I was the leader of the gang of pirates that invaded the planet a while ago and destroyed City A. Saitama is the one who beat me. Since then, we've had quite a few spars, but every time I feel like I'm just slamming against an unbreakable wall, no matter how much stronger I get. You're saying that it's because of that limiter thing? Yes, that's definitely the reason. He's an unfair existence. But what's frightening to me is that he's becoming more and more distant from humanity. Who knows what kind of effect that'll have on him? Will he remain a hero forever, or will he abandon his humanity and start indiscriminately attacking others like the monsters do? We cannot be certain. And if it ever comes down to it, we're powerless to stop him as well. That's what terrifies me about that man. It's funny you say that. That's actually what happened to me. I was too strong for my own good. I got bored, lost touch with my mortality. As a result, I became a tyrant and destroyed countless worlds. However, I have been able to change.
If someone like me can do that, then Saitama is never going to turn evil. It might not look like it at first, but that guy's got the true spirit of a hero. And besides, I plan to catch up to him anyway, so he won't be invincible for much longer now.
Boros says, and Genus raises an eyebrow. Did you not hear me? He's broken his limiter. No one can reach him.
No problem. I'll just have to remove my own limiter then.
The alien smirks.
I know how Saitama did it. And if he can achieve that kind of power, then so can I.
Is that so? Dr. Genus trails off in deep thought. After a moment of silence, Boros shifts the course of the conversation.
But anyway, now to the reason that I am here. I would like you to provide healing for a monster. He's had his limbs twisted up pretty badly, but I've been told that you are the best bioscientist around, so maybe you could help him.
Now that's an interesting request. Healing a monster. If the twisted limbs are all the damage done, then I can heal him without trouble. I just have to restore part of my laboratory.
Excellent. I'll bring him to you when you're ready. Is there anything you'd like in exchange for this healing?
If you don't mind, I'd like to ask for a sample of your DNA. Getting to study an alien life form such as yourself would be most intriguing. Absolutely not! Zombie Man shouts, but as he does so, Boros casually rips off one of his arms and places it on the table in front of Dr. Genus.
Will this suffice?
Yeah, it will suffice, yes. The doctor says, taken aback by this action. With everything settled, everybody says their goodbyes, and Boros and Zombie Man exit the shop. At the same time, in another dimension, Blast and Tatsumaki walk down a white corridor until they reach a large, circular, dimly lit room.
So, when are we getting started?
In a few minutes. But Tatsumaki... Blast stops walking in the middle of the room and gets down onto one knee to be at eye level with the Esper.
I won't sugarcoat it. What you are about to go through will be the toughest challenge you have ever faced in your life. Absolute hell. Are you sure you want to go through with this?
Tatsumaki glares at him.
Don't ask questions you already know the answer to.
She says, and Blast grips her wrist firmly as he looks her dead in the eye.
I'll be completely honest with you. There's a very real chance that you will die. So I want to hear you say it. Say you're absolutely sure.
Blast says, and Tatsumaki gulps, a sweat drop rolling down her face. But she never breaks eye contact. Her conviction never wavers, not even for a moment.
I'm sure. I accept the risk. I will get through this, no matter what.
Blast looks her in the eyes, and once he's absolutely sure Tatsumaki means what she says, he lets go of her arm.
Good. You'll need that mindset to survive. Now listen carefully.
Blast stands up.
I am about to take you to the Hametsu Tokurushimi, a dimension of pure chaos. This is a trial everyone who wants to join our anti-god team must go through. The Hametsu Tokurushimi is a place where the laws of our universe do not apply. The air will feel like shards of superheated glass. The gravity will fluctuate wildly between 1,000 and 100,000 times that of Earth. There will be no light, so don't expect to be able to see anything without producing your own light, but I would advise trying to use your sensory capabilities instead of relying on your sight. Those are just a few of the challenges that you'll have to face. But perhaps worst of all, you will encounter creatures, inhabitants of the realm. You can expect each and every single one of them to vastly outclass you in strength. Don't even think of fighting any of them until you've acclimated to the harsh climate. You'll die instantly otherwise. Instead, try to avoid them and focus simply on surviving. Once you can handle the conditions there, only then can you try to engage the inhabitants of the realm.
Blast explains to the Esper, and Tatsumaki almost can't believe what she's hearing. An entire world full of creatures stronger than her? Not to mention all the conditions she'll have to deal with. The Esper looks up and suddenly realizes that Blast is observing her carefully, most likely looking for signs that she is not ready. Tatsumaki clears her throat.
This will be rough.
She says, more to herself than to anyone else. Blast nods.
Indeed. I'm glad you're actually thinking about this. If you'd responded with pure bravado, I would have escorted you immediately. I couldn't tell you how many people who acted like that died in the realm.
Blast sighs.
But I have faith in you. I believe you can survive if you try hard enough. If you do, your power, your speed, endurance, every attribute will rise exponentially.
The hero finishes his speech and Tatsumaki nods.
I'll do it. How long am I staying in there?
Time passes over 12 times faster in there than out here. For you, it will be a month. You must survive a month on your own and acclimate to the conditions. After that, I will enter the dimension and personally train you in cosmic forces. That is, if you're still alive by then. But if you are, we will spend the remaining 11 months training together, and I will teach you as much as I can, as well as help you increase your power and speed even further. The challenge up ahead is great, but the reward is worth it, believe me. Is everything clear?
One question. Why can't you just enter with me from the start and watch my back so I don't die during the first 30 days?
Blast sighs yet again.
Trust me, I wish I could. But this training is just as much mental as it is physical. If you know there's a backup in play, you will not succeed. Trust me. You have to fight for your life. To push yourself beyond your limits with the knowledge that if you don't, you will die. Only in such a situation will your powers really develop.
That makes sense, I suppose.
Then, if there's nothing else to discuss...
Tatsumaki nods and gets ready for the leap into the other dimension. Blast puts his hand on her shoulder.
Good luck.
A black hole-like portal surrounds Tatsumaki, and she vanishes. Just then, a one-eyed alien enters the room from behind a corner.
You're taking an awfully large risk. If she succumbs to that realm, that might mean the end for all of us. You are aware of that, right?
I am. But I trust that she can make it through this. And if not, we'll just have to deal with the consequences when we get there.
Some hours later, in a city back on Earth, an alarm sounds off informing the populace that a demon-level monster has appeared. Thankfully, the creature is soon met with competition. The bottom-ranking S-Class hero, Puri Prisoner, has arrived on the scene. He approaches the beast and gets its attention. The two enter a brief but fierce scuffle, and soon, the hero emerges victorious with minimal wounds sustained. He looks around the empty street. Everyone's run away by now, so no one saw him actually handle the monster. But no matter. The important thing is that the creature has been defeated, and the day has been saved. Suddenly, Puri feels something wrap around his neck. He starts gasping for air and looking around. Soon, the hero realizes that what's choking him is a long, shiny tendril coming from a nearby alleyway. Before he can do anything, the tendril retracts into the alleyway, dragging the hero with it. Puri is about to pass out, but the tendril suddenly lets go of him. He starts coughing for a couple of moments before hopping to his feet and turning to see who the attacker is. The hero is surprised to see a tall man, seemingly made up of some shiny metal, standing before him. The tendril from earlier appears to be an extra appendage on this creature's head.
You are a hero, correct? The bottom of the S-Class, Puri Prisoner.
The creature says, not bothering to introduce itself.
I am.
The hero replies, looking at the monster with caution. He can tell this thing is strong.
I have to say, You're awfully weak for an S-class.
Puri's eye twitches.
Who are you, and why are you saying these things?
I'm just evaluating how good of a meal you will make. At that moment, Puri prisoner realizes what fate awaits him if he loses.
Look, I may be one of the weakest, but I'm still Class S. I won't be going down easily.
Puri declares, which makes the creature scoff.
I highly doubt that.
It replies before instantly doing away with the hero. The creature crouches down next to the fresh body and begins his feast. Once finished, Platinum S stands back up.
He wasn't as good of a protein source as I would have liked. Not as satisfying as that ninja from earlier. Still, he was better than 1,000 normal humans combined would be. Raised my cell stock quite a bit. I can't wait to get my hands on some of the stronger heroes.
The monster says as he walks out of the other side of the alleyway, only to see two figures standing in front of a house shopping store. A bald guy with a silly-looking hero costume and a cyborg. They seem to be chatting about a picture of a house on sale. Platinum's eyes narrow.
That's Demon Cyborg. I cannot consume him, but killing him here and now would save me some trouble later. And that other hero, I've never seen him before. Probably some nobody. Still, I can eat him and gain at least moderately more cells than I would from a normal human. It seems this is my lucky day.
The monster thinks to himself before lunging at the duo at top speed, intending to annihilate the both of them in an instant. Huh? What was that? Some kind of monster? Saitama asks as the pieces of the creature's shattered body fall to the concrete. It was probably just some insignificant insect who thought it could catch you off guard. I wouldn't pay it much mind. Geno says as Platinum's shattered body slowly turns into dust, which flies off into the sky. Yeah, probably. Anyway, I think I'll go for this house. Excellent choice, Master. I'll start filling in the paperwork right away.